Hello people, today we're doing a review of Jurassic World Dominion. I rewatched all 6 Jurassic films this week, and I'll be doing a ranking next week of all 6 of the movies so you can get my full-fledged thoughts on each and every one of them. Let's just talk about this movie. And yeah, at the end of the day, I'm very conflicted on this movie. Part of the movie I was entertained, and then the other part I'm just kind of underwhelmed. And overall, I will say I was underwhelmed by this movie. It didn't really feel like it lived up to what I thought it could be with the premise that it had. And the first couple minutes thought it was kind of going that direction, and then it didn't. And then the last couple minutes kind of felt like it was concluding that what I thought the movie was going to be, even though I was Jurassically underwhelmed by the my idea of what the film was going to be, because this movie is very plotty. This movie has a lot of storylines going from left and right, and it's juggled all over the place. And I think that's the biggest issue with this movie. I think it's the screenplay. The movie's writing is really just from one storyline I don't care about to another storyline I don't care about. And that's not, there's elements in the storylines I care about, but overall the goals and what exactly we're doing I wasn't invested. Speaking of not being invested, in the last movie they introduced a little girl that is also a clone. I didn't care for her storyline in that movie, and they carry it over into this movie, and yet again I really didn't care. If for what it was written well. It's just I wasn't invested, and it's not really why I go see a Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movie. And that's what's kind of vastly frustrating about this movie, is because the gold standard for these films are obviously the first film, Jurassic Park. And now ever since the first movie, we're kind of like in this gray area of like, do we like the dinosaurs or don't we like the dinosaurs? Because it's like, we have scenes where we like, obviously like they battle dinosaurs because they have no other choice. But there's also a lot of other scenes where we battle humans. And it just kind of underwhelmed me. There's a lot of sequences where like it's one-on-one fights, and I just didn't care, because it's not why I go to see a movie like this. When we have humans fighting humans about dinosaurs, it doesn't feel like it's about the dinosaurs, it feels like it's about the humans. And I am fine with things with the human elements being in there. It's just when the dinosaurs are this sideline and just kind of there in the background, it just kind of, like I said, it underwhelmed. Because there are dinosaur sequences, and there are some good dinosaur sequences, but there's also some dinosaur sequences that just felt like it was like Mission Impossible with dinosaurs in it. Like we saw the that elements of the chase sequence in the trailer, and I thought it looked like a lot of fun. It's just I don't think the editing allowed it to really have much fun, because there was so many moments I was just like, hold that shot so I could really feel the intensity, and then it cut too soon. Just editing decisions like that where I really couldn't immerse myself as much as I wanted to, and like I see in other action films. And so I guess it boils down to the directing, because I was like, that's a great shot, now you just need to hold it for a couple more seconds so I could really get into it. But no, they cut to this, and throughout that sequence it's littered with green screen. That kind of took me out of it, and there are a lot of green screen moments that had me going yikes. But that's not to say all the CG is bad, because there are some CG dinosaurs, some not CG dinosaurs, and you can tell which ones are and aren't. But the ones that are, they don't look bad. It's a good enough job, and I think they look pretty good. And yeah, there was some pretty good cinematography throughout, like nothing mind-blowing. And I thought the last movie, even though it was Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it wasn't the best movie in the world, but that movie did have some really, really good shots. This movie didn't have as many, even though I do like this movie a little bit more than Fallen Kingdom. But yeah, they brought back the original cast this time around: Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum. And I thought Laura Dern was great in the movie. She had a lot of charisma, and she really, out of the whole entire movie, there's a scene with Laura Dern and where she's just simply looking at a dinosaur, and it's the closest I felt getting back to the original feel in almost any of these movies, to the original feel of that Spielbergian, I don't know if I'm saying that, Spielbergian like awe of actually seeing a creature like the dinosaur. And the movie kind of gets preachy at the end, even though it's very on the nose about what it's like to look at a dinosaur. It felt kind of lazy in how they did it, but it was, at least they attempted, if that makes sense. But yeah, Sam Neill is also back, and he's there. He doesn't do anything too great, but you know, he has a little bit of an arc, and that's cool. Jeff Goldblum, he's there, and he's Jeff Goldblum, which I'm not going to complain about. Chris Pratt, he's there. He kind of phoned it in the most, I thought. Bryce Dallas Howard, I don't care for her character, but I think she did a good job with what she had. And yeah, and another thing about this movie is like I can tell that the people behind the camera and making it, they cared and they really did try. They really did try to wrap this up really well because you can tell just by watching it that everyone really cares about this franchise, really cares about this world, and really cares about the dinosaurs. It's just the script to me didn't feel like it cared that much. And that's what made this movie frustrating because I felt like everyone behind the camera really did care because the dinosaurs, they looked great. The everything, like I said, even though I didn't care for some of the editing, the concepts for some of these sequences were really good. It's just the script wasn't. And if this script was better, this would be to me, I thought this would have been a great movie. And that's not to say I don't hate this movie. I don't. Like, there are some really good standalone sequences that are thrilling and not quite as thrilling as the first movie, but we see shimmers. I saw shimmers throughout where I was like, that's potential for greatness. And yeah, there is one particular death in this movie that's not like a big death, it's just a character that dies because it's a Jurassic movie, and it was done pretty well, and it is a pretty good concept. And so throughout there's moments where I was like, that's a cool concept, I like the idea of that. And so it just my enjoyment is really like tug of war. I was like, that's a cool concept, but I don't care about the story. So yeah, overall I'm really conflicted about this movie. And I'm going to give Jurassic World Dominion a 5.4 out of 10. Comment down below what you guys thought of Jurassic World Dominion. I know the people I know that are big Jurassic fans really like this movie, and they had a lot of fun with it. And I'm overjoyed that the Jurassic fans around the world are enjoying this movie. It's just, to me, I had a lot of problems and issues with the script. So, yeah, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.